Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown for the week 27th of September 2014. This is game number 2 in this best of 7 series between Aizamk and Boneng. In the west of the map, we have, in the colour red, playing as Russia, Boneng. There he is, starting with 2 wood crates there. He can indeed go for an early market if he wants to. Russia sometimes struggle with that, actually, because if you don't have 200 wood specifically, you are unlikely to get... Well, you could get a market and a house up and get your hunting dogs, but you'd probably idle your town centre, and that's obviously not going to be too good. Off to a nice start, fighting some sheep. But in the west of the map, in the colour blue, playing as indeed the Japanese. Wow, that was an interesting pronunciation. We have Aizamk. Here he is, laying down that early consulate here. I'd like to just quickly go over the civilization rules for everybody here. I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with them, but the civilization rules for this event are the same as in the previous Smackdown. Basically, every time you win a game, you will no longer be allowed to use the civilization that you won that game with, meaning that as you pick up more and more wins in this series, you will have fewer civilizations to choose from on each following game, I suppose. The rules, the rule adds a civilization variety, which is, not only entertaining to watch, but sort of required to stop players abusing the strengths of some of the top-tier civilizations, and of course that is particularly important in money matches, if, which sometimes happen, though that money's usually coming from Zuta and I. In addition, the winners of each match will be required to select the civilization for their next match first, and then once they've selected, in this game here we see Aizamk going for Japan, and then in response to that we have Boneng picking Russia. I think that's quite nice. It sort of hands the advantage back to the loser of the previous game, and as they can sort of engineer themselves a more favourable matchup. I think it's a nice format, and it's quite an entertaining format. So, bring me up to date, Zuta, on what's going on.
So a couple things. First, people will probably in the chat know that I'm primarily a Japanese player, which is going to make for essentially my ability to be super critical of Aizamk even higher in this game than I usually are.
It's pretty high already, I must admit. Yeah. You don't think his builds
so
are
he did
usually...
go with the port consulate, which is fine.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the positioning of the consulate's not super good, but we'll just have to see what that ends up with. Traditionally, we'd like to see that Portuguese consulate combined with the Tashuga Shrine out here, out front of his gold mine. I did mention that the gold mine is going to be something that's going to be very difficult to secure. If he were able to get his consulate and his Tashuga Shrine kind of walling off out front here, perhaps would have had a little bit of a natural barrier combined with the trees that he could hide behind with that gold mine. Fortunately for him, he also did have the Shrine Start, which basically gives him his fastest uptime possible. Is aging at 12 population with villagers, so that is going to make for a very speedy uptime for Japan. I mean, obviously Japan's, quote, speedy uptime is, 4 minutes and 50 seconds or so. But still faster than he would if it were a non-300 wood start. So a couple of really nice, good little things going for Japan here. But we do see the villagers moving forward with Boneng. Standard 14 villager age up. Going to be building a blockhouse in a very forward aggressive position. And I still do worry about this silver mine, because at the end of the day, if there are a lot of Strele that are made from this forward blockhouse, he is going to have to make cav, which do cost 100 gold apiece, and he is going to not be able to only rely on shrines for that. So he's going to have to, in some way, defend a gold mine on his side of the map, and that could be very, very difficult for him to do.
Yeah, I feel, sending 4 villagers forward to put down a blockhouse, he really wants that up quickly, definitely, before he's up. That seems a bit excessive to me, and I must...
The Nitu clubmen almost single-handedly brought down that blockhouse. I don't know if you saw that exchange, but
yeah,
very close.
I was going to mention that would be a little bit difficult for him to get this, sort of causing some problems for Boneng with the blockhouse. You see how much damage just that random clubman had, along I suppose with the Explorer as well, just sieging it down during its foundation phase, and obviously a building in foundation phase I believe takes ×4 damage. It's really it's just a huge amount. I think maybe it ought to have been 2, ×2, but I suppose that is the penalty that the ES sort of imposed on the game there. But certainly, the Nuka clubman, he really tried to take that out with his villages, was causing some issues there. Adding in a wall.
Barracks coming down, wall coming down. Certainly does realize that he has to defend that gold mine. I'm not a big fan of walls. I know we've seen Knight BR play this kind of wall-centric style as well. Essentially, it's accomplishing the same thing. He realizes he needs the gold mine at some point, which is going to be important. He is going to try, and it looks like just Yumi his way out of this. So far, his build's been pretty standard, though. It does have 600 wood coming, which is kind of the norm. Yeah.
5 cav out for the Russian player, along with his first batch of Strelets here. Going to go straight over to the Russian player's base. This doesn't look too good. 5
No
Yumi
gold.
just coming out.
Yeah,
And
no gold for Minutemen. Needs sentries here. Doesn't have them. Those Yumis are effectively dead.
yeah, but can he maybe walk them around? Can he get the sentries out, sort of in between the cav and the archers there? But no, it looks like it's a little bit too late.
Doesn't have money for sentries.
Does he not? Oh, and I think you mentioned in previous weeks, Mito, picks up the coin ready for his Minutemen before, but Aizamk not having it ready here. Just getting, these units just getting knocked over by that first cavalry shipment, and of course the Strelets here, and all of these Russian units going to force the Japanese villagers into the town center. They're not going to be able to create any resources or generate export.
Yeah, I sense a very short game coming. Japan has pretty much lost all tempo. Can't train villagers, can't train units. He does have, a little bit of wood in his bank from that 600 wood shipment, but at the end of the day, he's not gathering. He's effectively got every single villager he owns inside of his town center. 5 Yumi shipment is going to come out, but just the efficiency of this Strele, I think, here is going to be a little bit too good. Likely going to see something like 4 Cossacks coming next too.
Absolutely, and as Japan, you sort of want to have your villagers out, so you can obviously offensively want them out, so you can make the units to sort of defend this. But also specifically for Japan, they will be generating export, and with the Portuguese consulate, there is an 8 Bestirio shipment that you want to send once you hit 400 export. But I think that definitely is something you're always worrying about, that 8 crossbowmen that you can get extra, because you're sort of like, I'll need those to help hold the pressure, and if you can't reach 400 export, then they'll never come.
Yeah, and I really like the next card that Boneng sent here. I think a lot of people, myself included, would have probably been greedy and thought, I can go for the throat right now. He is dead. Like, there's nothing that he can do.
What, and ship military units?
And I would just ship military units like either 13 Strele or 4 Cossacks. But Boneng taking the clever in-between step of sending 700 wood instead.
Yeah, adding in some trading posts down there with
trading post, maybe getting some market
But
upgrades.
not before he gets that treasure. Anyway, go ahead.
But
that polar bear harassing him. He doesn't want to fight it. He just wants his crack shot to recharge whilst he's building. Sorry, go ahead.
That'll be fine. But I think this is the smart way. He's realized that he's really crippled the Japanese player early, and he's got this big sheep economy that he's going to be able to have. He's going to be able to have a lot of units coming out, and he can just improve his infrastructure with the 700 wood, and then still ship 4 Cossacks or 13 Strele or whatever, and just have this like really big, scary looking army. And so I'm actually quite a fan of what Boneng is doing here. I think this is going to be very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, just slowing down just a little bit just to get that 700 wood out is going to result in a trading post, most likely trading post upgrades there, can get the market upgrades, and, look really, really solid. Actually, the 4 Cossacks are now here, unfortunately not changing the spawn point back to the blockhouse. That is a problem that you face as Russia sometimes forgetting to change it back. But, slowing down just a little bit, a really strong economy behind this, and the pressure's, going to resume full force here.
Yeah, and I mean, we've said it before, just with Russia, the efficiency that your units trade with, even your efficiency in just tanking town center shots, like all of that little efficiency rolled up into that unit is really, really good. And it's really difficult for civs with, high cost, high impact units to actually deal with. So it's going to be fairly difficult here still to hold this. He is stabilizing a little bit, does have his stable coming up, has transitioned back here to this back gold mine, does have a little bit more vision and walls up to help defend him up there, but still not out of the woods is our Japanese player.
No, not yet. I think slowing down, the Russian player slowing down just a little bit, obviously very, very nice to get these up and running. His mass is going to be absolutely insane. As you mentioned, the Russian units are more efficient than regular units. Of course, they are cheaper and they're weaker because of that, but their strength their statistics are actually higher than they should be for their cost, and because of that, sort of, combined with the fact that Russian units, villagers train 30% more quickly overall, and their units are stronger. Like it's like fighting, I don't know, a civilization in late colonial with like 10 extra villagers. Their units are just so efficient. But Japanese definitely. I think he's allowed him to sort of, slowing down a little bit has allowed the Japanese player to sort of get back in this. But ultimately, Russian has a lot of map control and
he's gotten a little bit of mass back as a result. But I don't know that mass is really going to be that important. It does have to be a little careful here with his Strelly. Make sure he doesn't overextend into like a big pop of cav.
No.
We do have 6 cav and cubes.
There it is. They're popping out right now. There they are. Strela looks like they're a little bit too far forward there. The cav, if they can get into combat, should do quite nicely. Russian Cossacks, not quite near enough to help out with this engagement. They are sort of on their way. Yeah, actually, they're just in time. He should be okay.
He got fortunate with the trees as well, kind of slowing down the cav as well.
Yeah, the pathing is just annoying sometimes. They're coming back. Okay, Cossack's coming back in. He's like, no, I thought I already dealt with this, but actually being a little bit cheeky, coming right back in. Is going to choose to take this fight here. What do you think?
Perfectly fine for Boneng. Any trade where he can kill cav and kill stuff and backbone his strategy on the efficiency of the Strelly, I think he's perfectly fine with killing some cav, popping out more units. This is something that Boneng is just fine with. More cav coming in here from the top side, but I don't think it's going to be enough, honestly.
Yeah, it's not going to be good for the Russian player because in terms of cost efficiency, cav are definitely going to do a lot of work here. But there's quite a few Strelets there. He can get in behind the trees.
Position, he's wedged his Strelets.
Yeah, the cav really can't get in. Like a lot of them just like bumbling around, sort of like trying to work out how they can get in. The cav are getting a lot of extra damage in though. Having said that, actually losing most of his Strelets here, it looks like he's going to.
Boning's also got a ridiculous amount of unspent resources at this point. He has 1,500 food, 300 wood. That's like,
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that's like 4 batches of Strelly. That's 4 additional units.
Or even some musks or something. Like, no matter what it is, like if those resources were not resources and were instead units here, they certainly would have improved his fight. The trade here would have been a lot more or less unfavorable for him.
Yeah, 2 blockhouses coming up. And we do have to remember Boneng still does have the middle TP line. Does have it fully upgraded. And A's has to make a decision. Does he go for the throat and try and end the game right now by like finding villagers and like sieging, the military buildings that are likely to be building in Boneng's base? Or does he continue just to play the slow style, try and repopulate his shrines, build kill the trading post, maybe even build them himself, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Russian player. He's just going to take the slow approach.
Adding in some docks here, and he has indeed sent that schooner shipment. So definitely slowing down. I guess he's not starting aggressive, really putting the Japanese player on his heels. Is that a phrase I can use?
Yeah.
But slowing down quite a lot here to go for the economy route and. I don't think this is bad at all. This is just a different style of Russia. Russia very strong later on in the game because their settlers do train faster and really late colonial is a really good place to be if you're Russia.
Yeah, he's in a little bit of an awkward state here though, where he doesn't really have that much. I guess he's going to have quite a bit coming out here. Musk coming out, Minutemen coming out. Going to be fine there. Maybe a little bit of an overextension here by A's with not having his full military to back up this little raid here. I think this is still okay. I think Russia's in an okay spot.
2 caravels out.
He's reestablished his infrastructure. He has a couple docks up.
Dayamo Mochitada looks like he's going to go down there, taking some shots from the musketeers just on the way. And he goes down! There we are. Not too good. The
caravels were maybe trying to intercept him as well on the north side of the map.
Japan does not want to lose that guy.
Yeah, and the other thing I just noticed here that I want to really make clear is that Japan's market upgrades are very, very poor. He's only got the first berry gathering upgrade and that's it, although he is aging, so...
Yeah.
I don't know.
With regards to Russia, though, I feel as if these resources were actually units, he wouldn't have been pushed back as far and the TP line would still be completely okay, and that forward block blouse would
Yeah.
still be up. Do you think perhaps he was trying to save for the age or something, just waiting on a 700 coin shipment, or perhaps some coin coming in from the TP line, and maybe his shrine's configured to coin? What was going on, do you think? I feel as if at this point he's lost his favourable position. Of course, still, I'd say actually ahead, perhaps, although the scores do indicate it is quite an even game. But yeah, I feel as if something went wrong there.
I think Russia's fine here.
Yeah.
It was a misplay by him to have that many resources at that point. There's certainly no point when any player should have 1,500 food unspent. But I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, happens to the best of us sometimes, I suppose.
Yeah.
Boneng, definitely a very solid player.
I think he could have had like even a stable and just had a few more use. But just with this double blockhouse, he has Warriors down now. There's going to be a lot of units in the timing push. I don't know. Boneng has a couple ways he can play this. He can either age up himself and just try and slug it out in age 3 with this water-based economy, which I think is likely what he's going to do, or he can try and timing push and catch A's. But I think that window is kind of slipping away now. So I think we're likely to see. I think we're likely to see him just continue to mess up on water and just challenge Japan to an eco game and just try and control the map. I mean, if we take a look at shrine population, Ace certainly doesn't have that much shrine pop. He's only at 110. He does have the benefit of the Golden Pavilion now that he's in age 3. Certainly, Ashies and Nagis and Yumis get really, really strong when they get upgraded with the veterancy upgrades. But I don't know if that alone is going to be enough to make up for the discrepancy in military pop that we're likely to see now in building towards the next couple of minutes of this game.
Boneng committing fully to water here. He's sent obviously 2 caravels, which haven't really done anything at this point in the game. He's also sent improved warships.
Sorry to cut you off. Ace is going to age. I just realized he's got...
to industrial. Yeah. I thought, what are you talking about, Zuru? He's already gone fortress. But no, what he's considering the industrial age.
Yeah, I don't like it. This was something that was like really, like I guess popular or like flavor of the monthy like maybe 6-8 months ago. I know there's like some of the Japanese guys who do this like industrial based play. I don't really think it's that good. I mean, sure, he's going to be able to get some upgrades if he's got the economy to back it. I don't think he'll have the economy to back it up to get all of his upgrades. And plus, if you take a look at what he's got, like, he doesn't have that much of an army right now. If Boneng were to just, like, push into his base, he's essentially just spent, like, 5,000 resources into aging that really has netted him nothing. He could have scary age 3 upgrades and just, loads of stuff. Even getting the Spain consulate and the upgrade that's going to give him is effectively mercantilism, which is 1,500 XP. Couldn't give him a lot of shipments when he does get to be 4th age.
Yeah. He sent good faith agreements. That reduces the cost of consulate upgrades. Is that something he's considering then, Spain consulate?
Well, he's already done Spain consulate, and he's already sent mercantilism, or whatever the effective translation is. He has 3 shipments effectively waiting for him in the 4th age.
Yeah.
Could send something like 8 flaming arrows and another daimyo or the shogun, I guess. Certainly a scary possibility. I'm not super certain though that in the long term this is good for him. He's allowed Boneng to effectively go unchecked on water. If we take a look at villager counts,
he's
Boneng up to 71 villagers.
So far ahead right now.
Has reestablished the trading post line. Has made a pretty effective transition into mills. Still has some gold mines and stuff.
And he's been pretty much given the free opportunity to just knock down all of Japan's shrines. Like Japan's made no attempt to sort of save the forward shrines there. He's only got a few left. Very low on sort of population for at the point in the game he should be at.
He's rebuilt them in the back of his base, but obviously without having them, have the animals on them, they're not.
No, 0.2. They're just not as good there. But 16 Yumi Archers has just come out, and he does at this point in the game, if I turn the in-game timer off, see that he has 0 shipments available. I thought he'd have a few more than that. Perhaps they're all on the way being sent as we speak.
My guess would be they're all being sent, and he does have he does have the daimyo as well.
Honored Yumi Archers. Whoa! He just popped. Look at that, daimyo just, pooing out flaming arrows. Where are they coming from?
Lag. Fight.
Oh,
trying to get back to
is he gonna get inside his caravel so he can sort of escape the fight? That doesn't look too good for him. He's so many archers here, which are of course really strong against heavy infantry. I suppose infantry generally, really, and also the flaming arrows in the back here. That somehow the daimyo is storing in his rear end. Yeah,
there's going to be no escape, and this is looking good for Japan. Honestly.
Looking really good for Japan. Do you think perhaps Boneng, maybe ought to realize that there's no defense. He's not defending his shrines. You haven't seen him in a while. What is he doing?
Yeah,
maybe I should scout him and
Boneng's
can
got
respond accordingly.
Resources. He's like sitting on a lot of resources. Looks like he's like floating with the idea of maybe trying to age up himself, and he's just caught in this awkward in between stage.
That is what Boneng likes to do.
Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't have fishing ship and is in age 4 by 20 minutes, he's not playing the game. So
no, he's not having fun. It's not what he likes to do.
Fun.
It's all about having fun. This game, Boneng, has to be an age 4 with 50 shifting fish. That you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, but he has a pretty good economy. So I feel as if he maybe just thought, well, why isn't Japan pushing out against me? All I have to do is sit here and boom with my water economy. My economy is going to be so much better than his. Where is Japan? What is he doing? The longer this game goes on, the more I'm likely to win. But actually, Japan now up to industrialized with flaming arrows out, and of course the guard equivalent honored Yumi archers. This is a really scary push right here. What can he do?
This is going to be difficult. I mean, he's just going to try and brute force his way with efficiency out of this. He's got more blockhouses, more stables. And I think he's realized that he's not going to be able to get the age up in without just immediately dying, and he's just going to effectively try and pump out as many Strele and Caustics, I guess, as he can. It comes to 2 Falk shipment.
2 Falks. They should be... Well, they're definitely good against infantry, but, I mean, so many flaming arrows there, and flaming arrows have more range than a falconet, and because of that, they should be able to snipe off the falconets quite easily, but even without them, one of them goes down right away.
So far.
Yeah.
Not too bad for Russia. He's gotten in a good trade.
I feel as if a lot of these Japanese units sieging down random houses and buildings, they're not actually fighting what they need to be fighting here, but actually he has, identified that. He's starting to bring them back on the units, though those flaming arrows... I think they need to focus the Strelets. Wow. The longer these Strelets can fight, the better Boneng will be off.
Yeah, and here comes a big group of cap. Like, I don't know, maybe Japan has just thrown away his chance to win.
Maybe.
I mean, certainly Boneng's got...
No, really there are tons of discipline Zoe just popping out of his, storing them up his anus yet again, coming out of nowhere. I just don't agree with that mechanic. But, those are all he needs really to defend against these cavalry here. Those, all of these units that are weak to cavalry should be okay.
I'm still not sold on it. There's so many Strele and Boneng still...
Are Zoe that weak?
Yeah, they're not that good.
No, not that... Well, not huge. They're not actually that... Yeah, okay. But still...
Lots of units in Q2. I mean, couple Cauldrons, lots of Strele in Q. 9 more Caustics going to pop out here.
Yeah, more Yumi archers.
I don't think Japan has won just yet. I think it might be a little bit premature to say that he's in a winning position at this point. Boneng does still have water behind all this.
Yeah.
So.
Boneng, not in such a bad... he's sort of held this reasonably, still got units coming out. He's successfully transitioned over to mills, and those things are really expensive to get going and result in less military. But here, I expected Japan to get much further in with this push, and, as you're saying, he hasn't done so. And, unfortunately, so many units just see, these houses are so damaged where they really ought to, so much damage on a house. If you consider that damage being done to units, perhaps this wouldn't have happened. And having held successfully here, Boneng has all of these fishing ships behind him. He's looking great. And Japan, the shipments there from the Spanish Constellate won't last forever. Yeah, and that is really what fueled this push.
He's actually got so many fishing boats. I didn't realize he had that many fishing boats.
97 population villager economy, and he's not. Well, he could be fishing with the caravels as well, but he's just received refrigeration there, even heavier on the economy. He is at this point his economy will pump out what he has in military right now in mere seconds.
Yeah, it's this is gonna get scary, and I mean everyone I think kind of knows this. Russia is one of the super late game powerhouses. Certainly, once you get past the 25-minute mark, Russia is one of those civs, along with say France or something, that you really don't want to face just because they have all of the tools that make them really scary at fighting in super late game. And we're slowly progressing towards that quote super late game area. And I mean, Japan, when it comes down to it, super late game, just not quite as good. I mean,
only 75 villages.
Yeah, his shrines certainly are going to be easily easily controlled. His economy's not going to be nearly as good as Russia's is.
Yeah, plus these shrines are just so inefficient, having been forced down and had to be replaced just for the population, I suppose. Well, also, just for resources as well, but really nowhere near animals, and they're not generating nearly as much as they should. At this point, Russia, absolutely insane economy, adding in a second town centre, a really nice school lead starting to come on here.
Yeah, and he's aging as well, so Boneng is certainly a very commanding spot at this point, I would say. And the gimmick of the kind of industrial based play and getting all the shipments out and trying to get the push going, it just feels like a bit too much of a gimmick. I feel like if maybe he could have just controlled the center portion of the map, not allowed this town center and these trading posts to get reestablished, stuff like that. Just kind of kept his map a little more active, gotten his shrines back established on hunts, and just kind of kept maybe taking a little bit more slow of an approach to it, and just controlled the map and waited for effectively the sea economy just to kind of die down. I mean, we can see there's not a lot of fish remaining. Certainly there are the whales, which are probably nothing you're going to ever be able to do anything about, but you could at least wait until these 50 or so odd fishing ships are reduced to effectively like 16
Boneng.
or 20
up to industrial just there.
But yeah, it's going to be tough for Japan to win from here. I do like that he's adding in the Kree. The Kree trading post is going to be able to train some CDB there. Can even grab the one on the south side. The non-fan patch version of this map, the Kree do always spawn on the east side, so that is something that he's got going for him.
This fishing economy, though, as you say, it doesn't last forever. It certainly looks very strong right now, and there are whales, definitely. Ooh, some flaming arrows just sniping off the fishing ships. I don't think it'll matter too much. These fishing ships certainly not going to be much useful for that much longer. But, Aizamk, if he plays more of a controlling, taking the map, not allowing the trade route, as you're saying, definitely would be very good. Perhaps may have been better than what he did do, but this is Aizamk we're talking about. Just in the same way that Boneng does not enjoy this game unless he's gone up to industrial age with 50 fishing ships, Aizamk has to do something really non-standard, otherwise it's just not him. And I think that is what he was perhaps aiming for. That push looked really convincing over in this base, but perhaps...
Check out the Oprichnik count as well here, moving up to the top of the map. That is... I don't think they're
and they're guard Oprichniks. He spent the time to get the upgrade here. What? Oprichnik's not actually that good against units. They're only really good against, I suppose, villages and artillery as well. And speaking of good,
dead, though. There's no way he can successfully deflect.
This is going to tear down every last structure in his opponent's base. Oprichniks representing 120 siege damage each. This is absolutely huge. And of course, all of these villages here just going to get knocked over as well. Wow, is that just one bang? One bang and the villagers down, or are they taking 2 hits? I'm not even sure, but certainly going to lose a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, everything is...
Hoyomato Samurai out. That is all he needs to hold that, Zuta.
It probably is. Those 2 samurai do probably beat
Look at it. 84 times 3 versus cavalry. What is that about? Look, you can see Boneng's just like, nope, I'm out of here. I'm not fighting that. And actually, I'm wrong. Not going to tear down these buildings. Two people, 2 individuals here. These heroes saving him.
The heroes of the Japanese Empire right there. Those two souls. But still, at the end of the day, look at Boneng's economy. He's going to go Imperial here. We might actually, for the first time on my stream, in a Saturday Smackdown, see an Imperial Age game.
Wow, that is, server first right there. Yeah, in all seriousness, Boneng has this. Look at his economy. 109 fishing boats. Yes, there's, that count isn't truly accurate since these fishing ships will no longer be that useful, but, you can't argue with the number against what Aizamk actually has. His mass certainly looking very scary, and those 2, Komodo Samurai, they're not that maneuverable. These cavalry will, and you can easily snipe down those samurai, and I think ultimately Boneng, representing the score lead, just judging from that, I think he's got this game.
Yeah,
can Boneng...
so many reasons.
Yeah, what can Aizamk do at this point, though?
I don't know that there's anything you can do. The only thing you can do is preemptively not try and get into this position where Russia's got 112 villagers and has complete map control with, 30 guard Oprichniks running around near Eco. getting
Here they
into
come
that
on the
state
side.
against Russia is in itself what causes the loss. So he has to do. He had to have done something like 10 or 15 minutes ago to prevent this from actually happening. And
Boneng's factory starting to come out too, by the way.
failing.
What
to
do you think
so.
of the Japanese push, though? I mean, it looked really convincing when he was in his opponent's base. This, the extra shipments from the Spanish consulate. He sent, what was that card that is an Age 1 card? I don't think I've ever seen it sent before. Good Faith Agreements, which reduces consulate research points by 50% and changes the cost by a certain amount too.
Yeah, it's a kind of a questionable card. I don't know. I think he would have been best off staying in Age 3, massing up with, veteran Ashi and Yumi Nagi, just getting a really strong unkillable mass, getting full upgrades in the 3rd Age, and then timing push with still having some control of the map. Yeah, I think going up to Age 4 and then kind of the questionable control of his army and Boneng's base, maybe underestimated just how strong Boneng's economy was. Maybe didn't factor into the equation all of the fishing boats that were already currently fishing away in the middle of the map. I think those things all kind of combined into one, maybe just made for a less than ideal fight for him. And resulting, I mean, as we say, the game's at, about the 30-minute mark now. Boneng's got 107 villager population. Certainly at this point, very few cities in the game, perhaps only French, can really deal with this strength of a Russian.
So good.
Yeah, it's very difficult to deal with.
Those villages come out so much quicker, and it really adds up over the course of the game. And of course, their military units just better generally in terms of cost efficiency. But that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes game number 2 in this series. Let's head on out into the 3rd game, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we are at an all-time high for viewers on Saturday Smackdown, representing 170 people have tuned in to watch this right now.
That's pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool. So guys, hope you're going to enjoy the rest of the games here. 2 games. The score is 1-1.
Yeah, we are all tied up, 1 game apiece. It is best of 7, so...
This is looking out to be a very long, good series. Hopefully going to go all the way to 7 games.
I'm certainly hopeful.